Close your eyes and picture an apple, a real one. Notice its color, the shine on its skin, a bruise maybe. Most of you just saw something, dim or bright, an actual picture forming in the dark. But some of you saw only this, black, nothing, no apple, no shape, no dim outline in the dark, just absence. And here's what unsettles everyone who finds out. They never knew the rest of us could. This is called aphantasia, a mind with no mind's eye. And for most of history, no one believed it was real. The word is new. The people are not. Back in 1880, Sir Francis Galton was surveying people about their mental imagery, and to his surprise, some insisted they had no pictures in their heads at all. He noted it. And then, for over a century, science mostly moved on. It took a single strange case to wake the question back up. In 2003, a retired surveyor came to the neurologist Adam Zeman with a specific complaint. After a minor heart procedure, his mind's eye had simply gone dark. He could still see the world perfectly, he just couldn't picture it anymore. Zeman, based at the University of Exeter, published the case in 2010. And then something remarkable happened. People started writing in, not to say their imagery had vanished, like his, but to say they had never had it, not once, their whole lives. In 2015, Zeman gave the condition a name, aphantasia, and tens of thousands of people suddenly had a word for the way their mind had always worked. Then, in 2020, it went everywhere. A simple post asked people to imagine a red apple and rate the picture from 1 to 5. 5 meant nothing at all. And millions of people, mid-scroll, discovered that picture an apple had never been a figure of speech for everyone. So how common is it? Careful. This is exactly the kind of number that gets repeated wrong. The honest answer is, it depends where you draw the line. Zeman's work suggests that imagery which is completely absent sits below 1% of people, while a broader band, including very dim or faint imagery, reaches a few percent. It is rarer than you'd guess from the internet, and more common than you'd guess from your own life, because the people who have it usually look exactly like everyone else. But here's where it gets stranger. For years, there was an obvious objection. How do you know these people aren't just bad at describing their imagination? Maybe everyone sees the same faint nothing, and some people just call it black. Maybe they're not even really trying. It's a fair challenge. Self-reports are slippery. Science needed a way to look inside the mind's eye without asking the person a single question. And in the last few years, it found two. The first one is beautifully sneaky. It uses a part of your body you cannot consciously control, your pupils. Your pupils shrink in bright light and widen in the dark. That's automatic. You can't fake it, can't will it. It just happens. Now the strange part, shown by Leah Kay and Joel Pearson's team at the University of New South Wales, published in the journal eLife in 2022, when people with vivid imagery merely imagine a bright shape, their pupils actually shrink, as if real light were hitting them. The mind's eye leaks into the real one. But when people with aphantasia tried to imagine that same bright shape, nothing. Their pupils didn't budge. Their eyes worked perfectly for real light. There was just no inner image for the eye to respond to. The researchers were careful about what this proved, and it proved something big. These people weren't refusing to try. Pearson noted it showed they are genuinely attempting to form the image. The body confirmed what the words had claimed. And that was only the first test. The second one is even harder to argue with because it measures fear. Think about the last scary story that got under your skin. You didn't just read words, you saw it. The shape in the doorway, the thing behind you. That picture is what makes your heart go. In 2021, Marcus Wicken, Rebecca Keogh, and Joel Pearson published a study in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B. They had people read frightening stories in the dark, while measuring their skin. Literally, how much they began to sweat, which is a reliable, involuntary sign of fear your body gives off without permission. In ordinary readers, the horror landed. As the stories got worse, their skin response climbed. The imagined danger became a real body reaction. In the aphantasic readers, a near flat line. The same words, the same dark room, But with no picture forming in their minds, the fear had almost nothing to grab onto. And then the researchers did the crucial check. They showed those same people actually frightening images, real pictures, not imagined ones, and their fear response returned to normal, which rules out the simple explanation. It's not that people with aphantasia feel less or are emotionally flat. Show them a real threat and they react like anyone. The gap appears only for danger they have to picture themselves. The fear was never missing. The image that summons it was. Two completely different tests, pupils and sweat glands, two involuntary systems that cannot be faked or performed, and both pointed the same way. The inner picture some of us take for granted every waking second is, for these people, genuinely and measurably not there. And still, this is important, researchers are careful not to call it a disorder. People with aphantasia remember, plan, dream, and create, often without noticing anything is different, sometimes for decades. Zeman himself frames it not as something broken, but as a variation, one edge of a huge spectrum. At the far other end sit people with hyperphantasia, whose inner images are as vivid and detailed as real sight. And most of us live somewhere along that line, quietly assuming our own spot on it is simply how minds work. It isn't. It's just how yours does. There's still so much we don't know, whether it runs in families, exactly what's different in the wiring, whether it changes how memory itself feels from the inside. These are open questions, actively being studied, not settled facts. But the deepest strangeness isn't really about them, it's about you. Because you have just been assuming your entire life that when you say the word imagine, everyone around you means the same thing. The person beside you might be watching a full, vivid film behind their eyes, or sitting in total darkness, thinking in pure words and knowing. And from the outside, you would never, ever be able to tell. We assume the inside of other minds looks like the inside of ours. That may be the quietest, most universal mistake a person can make, and you make it every single day about nearly everyone you meet. So the real question this leaves you with isn't whether some people see nothing. We know they do. The eye and the skin both confirmed it. The question is simpler and stranger. When you close your eyes and picture an apple, how bright is yours really? And have you ever once thought to ask the person next to you what they see? Try it. Ask someone today to picture an apple and rate it 1 to 5. The answer might not be the one you expect. Tell me where you landed on the scale, a vivid 5, a total 1, or somewhere strange in between. Some of you are about to learn something about yourself you never knew was unusual.